So, okay, no worries. Let's start with the lab. It will take some 30-40 minutes, so I will complete. Mm,
GitHub, right? I think we're gonna start.
yes. So there is this lab 5 implementing GitHub actions. Now, this is very important topic. Okay, this is very
Mm-hmm.
important. Mm, Let me start the recording.
You did already, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So in the last lab, we have done enabling continuous integration with the Azure pipelines. So as we are doing all these things with Azure Repos is our primary, you can say, repository where we are keeping our code. Now in this lab, they are saying that you can do this implement GitHub actions for CI/CD. Now whatever is provided by Azure Repos here, whatever is provided by Azure Repos, that can also be provided by GitHub also. GitHub is also a code repository, a central repository. So all those features are provided by GitHub also. Now, sometimes some companies, they do not work with Azure repos. Okay. They work with Azure portal. They use the portal services, but they don't use DevOps portal. Okay. What they use? They use GitHub. So this lab is all about that particular thing. Okay. So whatever you have seen till lab number 4, everything we implemented with Azure repos. Now all those 4 labs will be implementing with GitHub actions in this particular lab only. Okay. So what they are asking for here, the lab requires Microsoft Edge. Okay. That's a browser. Identify an existing Azure subscription. We have it. Verify that you have a Microsoft account. We have it. Okay. If you don't already have a GitHub account that you can use for this lab, follow instructions available at signing up and new GitHub account. Okay. So for this lab, you have to create a GitHub account. So do one thing with whatever account you have this, your Gmail or whatever Hotmail, whatever account you have this portal, with that particular account, click over here, go to GitHub, go to GitHub and create GitHub account. Okay. Create GitHub account.
I have an account already.
In GitHub, I'll say sign up. Okay. Join GitHub. So this is the link. So when you go and create join GitHub, see already yesterday I demonstrated this in 9:45 batch. So I already joined. Okay, I already created. So you have to go.
We cannot have with different email account.
Pardon?
Is it not possible to have a different email account, or is it mandatory to create GitHub also on the same user? Sorry, email ID.
No, why I am saying with the same portal account, because you will be implementing this code into somewhere in this portal only.
Okay.
Okay. So that's why with whatever account you have created, Gmail account or Hotmail account, the portal account, with whatever email you created, do with that only. Then
Okay.
only you will be able to create a connection and implement. Like what we did, we create a service principal connection from Azure DevOps portal, right? To implement, to deploy our code into the app service, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now we are deploying the code from GitHub to the app service in the portal. So again, you have to create the service connection.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
that service
Got
connection is possible when you will be using this account.
understood, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So now I already created this one, this account. For just account creation, if you want, any one of you can share your screen and create a GitHub account right now, just for creating the account.
I have an account already on GitHub.
You are already in the GitHub?
I think I had like before I created.
Okay. What you can do, if I go to the incognito window, I'll say join GitHub. Click on join GitHub. It will ask your username, the email address, the password, and the acceptance of these cookies and all. So, okay. After this thing, what you have to do, you have to click on verify. So it will verify your account. Okay, you might get some email. Once your email account is verified, you can click on create account. Once you click on create account, what will happen? Your account will get created, and
Mhm.
there it will GitHub will give you some option to choose whether you want to use free GitHub account or whether you want to use the enterprise one, means paid one, community version. Okay, always choose that free account, GitHub free account. Go with free account. Don't go with that student account and all. Okay, go with free account. I'm again saying go with free account. Okay, once you create, now this one account, this GitHub, this account is a free account. Okay, this account is a free account. So same with the same, this Abhishek Trainings 30, I created this GitHub. And here, whatever the username I have given, this one, using this username only, it will create an organization for you. Automatically, it will create an organization. So this Abhishek Trainings, this is an organization which has been created now. And yesterday, what I did, I imported this repository, eShop on web. Okay, this is the repository. So if I click on the repository, delete this repository. Now I deleted that particular repository which I imported. So what I can do now, I can go with a fresh thing. Okay. So I just have one organization in GitHub. Okay. Now, what are the objectives? In this lab, you will learn how to implement a GitHub action workflow that deploys an Azure Web App. After you complete this lab, you will be able to implement a GitHub action workflow for CI/CD. Explain the basic characteristics of GitHub action workflows. Now here import eShop on web to your GitHub repository. In this exercise, you will import eShop on web repository, code of your own GitHub private repo, create a public repository in the GitHub and import eShop on web. In this task, you will create an empty GitHub repository and import the existing eShop on web repository. From the lab computer, start a browser, navigate to GitHub website, sign in using your account and click new to create new repository. What I'll do, I'll create a new repository over here. Okay. So find the repository or create a new one. So I'll click on new repository, and what I'll do, I'll import that particular repository. Okay. I'll import. So on the create new repository page, click import repository link. You can also open the import website directly at GitHub import. Now, once on the import your project to GitHub, your old repository URL. Now, what you have to do, you have to copy this. You have to go here and on import the repository, it will ask you for the URL. You can give the URL over here. Then what it will ask for the repository name. So you can copy this repository name, eShop on web. eShop on where available. What else? Privacy, public. So I choose public and begin import. After this, click on begin import and wait for your repository to be ready. So begin import. Now it is importing the repository from the GitHub, public GitHub. So this was the first step we did in Azure DevOps. We imported the repository in the Azure repos. Okay, now we are importing it in GitHub. So now the repository has been imported. On the repository page, go to settings, click on actions. Go to settings, click on actions. Actions, okay. General and choose allow all actions and reusable workflows. So in the actions you need to go to general and choose this, allow all actions and reusable workflows. Click on save. So policy will be updated. Okay. Now set up your GitHub repository Azure Access. Now how your GitHub repository will access Azure? So for that purpose, you have to set up your Azure, right? So what you need? A service principal connection, which we created over there, a service connection in the Azure repos. Similarly, we will create a service connection over here. Now, in this exercise, you will create an Azure service principal to authorize GitHub accessing your Azure subscription from GitHub Actions. You will also set up the GitHub workflow that will build and test deploy your website to Azure. Now, create an Azure service principal and save it as a GitHub secret. In this task, you will create the Azure service principal used by the GitHub to deploy the desired resources. As an alternative, you could also use OpenID Connect in Azure. Okay. On your lab in a browser window, open Azure portal. In the portal, look for resource groups, click create a resource group. So very first thing you have to create a resource group. So now this is the resource group name. In the place of name, you can give any alias name. Okay. Now what I do, I'll go to the resource group. I'll create a resource group over here. Okay. So I'll give this instead of name, I'll take ABHIB. Okay. I'll keep it East US, go to tags, go to review and create. I'll create the resource group. Okay. The resource group has been created. I'll go to the resource group. Now the resource group has been created. Now what's next? In the Azure portal, open a Cloud Shell. Now we'll open a Cloud Shell over here. So I open the Cloud Shell over here. Make sure the terminal is running in bash mode. Okay. So I'll run that particular terminal in the bash mode. As of now, it is PowerShell. I'll choose bash. Okay. Bash mode, execute the following command replacing subscription ID and resource group with your own identifiers. So whatever subscription ID and resource group you created, you can edit that particular thing into this command. Okay. Copy this one. Open your notepad. Now you can see this. This is the command. Okay. And here I have given my subscription ID. And here I have given my resource group name. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll copy this one. I'll go to this. I'll run this. Now, after running this, what they say, make sure this is typed or pasted as a single line. Okay, that is done. The command will output a JSON object. Now, this command will create a service principal and it will output a JSON object. What you have to do, you have to keep that JSON object with you. Okay. So now see, so there is a app registration which is created, a service principal. So that is the client ID of that service principal. There is a client secret, subscription ID, tenant ID, everything it has given, all the details. What you need to do, you need to copy these details. You need to copy. You need to keep it with you. Okay. You also need to run the following command to register the resource provider for the app service. So you also need to register the resource provider. So just run this small command over here. Okay. So it will register your namespace for the app service. Okay. Now in a browser window, go back to eShop on web GitHub repository. On the repository page, go to settings, click on secrets and variables. So now in the settings in your repository, there is a secrets and variables. In the secrets and variables, go to actions. Now in the actions, you can see that new repository secret. New repository secret. What you have to do? You have to click on that. So actions, new repository secret, give some name to that particular secret and paste that JSON body, whatever you copied. So new repository secret, give some name to that secret. Okay. So for example, you have given Azure credentials, the name is. So, and paste that secret over here. What secret which you copied from here? Add a secret. Now your secret has been added as Azure credentials over here. Now your GitHub action will directly connect to the Azure and deploy your resources. Okay, since we created a service principal or service connection from GitHub now. Click on add secret. Now GitHub actions will be able to reference the service principal using the repository secret. Modify and execute the GitHub workflow. In this task, you will modify the given GitHub workflow and execute it to deploy the solution in your own subscription. In a browser window, go back to eShop on web repository. On the repository page, go to the code and open the file eShop on web GitHub workflows. Now what you have to do, after setting all these things in the GitHub actions, you need to go back to your eShop on web repository and GitHub workflows folder. Now inside this GitHub workflows, you have a file eShop on web CI/CD YAML. Now this is a YAML file only, a YAML pipeline, which we learned to write in the, where we written in the Azure repos. Okay, same file. There are some minimal changes in this file, minimal changes. Okay, now what minimal changes I tell you. So they have given some name to this build, eShop on web build and test. Now this is the same name which you give the name to the pipeline in the Azure repos. Okay, that build pipeline. So eShop on web build and test. Then as of now, we are not enable this triggers or anything. Okay. Now there are some environment variables we have given. Now these environment variables will be needed when you will deploy this particular code. So with the same file, we are building a code and deploying the code. So environment variable, resource group we have given, location, template file using which a service or a resource will be created in the Azure portal, like webapp.bicep file. Subscription, on which subscription you want to create, and what will be the name of the web app. Okay. Now, jobs, build, test, and publish. Now, you know that in the YAML file, we write the YAML file. As we use the classic editor, there also very first thing was the jobs. So in the jobs, what we are doing, we are building, testing, publish .NET web project in the repository. So job. Now inside the jobs, very first job is build and test. So runs on, there's an Azure pipeline agent or a pipeline agent, which is provided by GitHub now. Earlier, the pipeline agent was provided by Azure repos. That was Azure pipelines. Now it is provided by GitHub. So runs on Ubuntu latest. What are the steps inside the jobs? Checkout. First thing is check out the repository. Means check out the code. So uses actions checkout. Prepare runner for the desired .NET version. Name setup.NET, uses actions setup.NET with .NET version. All these things. Now, these are nothing but inside the step, whatever you are doing for checking out the code. What kind of code is that? What is the setup.NET framework is there? Then uses in the actions setup.NET. Okay. Then .NET version, whatever they are using .NET, you can use 6.0, you can use 7.0, whatever you want, you can use. Okay. But with this template code, they have used 7.0. Okay. So that's why 7.0. Include pre-release true. Now build, test, publish .NET project. So build with .NET. So in the build with .NET step, what they have given? They have given .NET build command, which we were giving in our local. Where in the starting, when we created the project in our local, so .NET build was the command. So it will run that particular command, .NET build, and it has given the name of that particular project. And then configuration option. What configuration option? Release option. Then test. So after build, then test. So .NET test, same options. Then .NET publish, same options. Okay. Now here in the publish folder, .NET publish, you have to give that particular folder where you want to publish. So -c release configuration and output. So environment.NET root, my app will be the folder where you will be publishing all those files. Upload the published website code artifacts. Now upload artifact for deployment job. So again, .NET app, whatever the artifact is there, we'll take that artifact. And then one more artifact will be there. Now in the last Azure repos, when we were developing that particular eShop on web, I have shown you that two artifacts are produced. One is the web app, another one was the bicep. If you remember, right? While running the pipeline in Azure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two files.
Yeah, two artifacts produced. So here also those two artifacts are there. One is the website, web app, another one is the bicep template file. So these two are the artifacts. Now use bicep to deploy infrastructure plus publish the web app. Now from here in the same file, we'll be deploying the architecture, infrastructure into the Azure, and we will publish our web app into that architecture. So what we are deploying? Again, we are using this agent. Okay, so deploy. Now we are using deploy step. Earlier we were using jobs. We were using these jobs, build, test, publish, all those things. Now we are using deploy job. Okay, or deploy. You can say there are different agents. So first agent was running this whole job, building and testing and publishing. After this, another agent or another stage comes into picture. This is another stage. Now, if you can remember the classic pipeline, there was stages. Similarly, here we are using two stages. One stage for building and publishing. Another stage we are using for deploying. So two stages we are using here.
Mhm.
So in the second stage, what you are doing, deploy. Ubuntu latest, you are using needs, build and test. Environment, name, development, now steps. So download and publish. So what is the first step while deploying in the deploy stage? First step is downloading the artifacts. So download artifact from the build job. So first is .NET app artifact. Second is bicep template. Both the artifacts they are downloading. Then log in your Azure subscription using a service principal. Now you will log into the Azure subscription. That is one task now. Azure login with Azure credentials, what you have saved. Okay. Deploy Azure web app using bicep file. Now using that particular bicep file, what you will do, you will deploy the web app. You will create the web app. Okay. So name deploy uses arm deploy one, subscription ID, resource group name, bicep template, parameters, everything. And after once your web app is created, what you will do? You will deploy or publish your website into that particular web app. This is whole YAML file. This is a whole YAML file. Now what we have to do? We have to edit this YAML file according to us. Okay. So I'll click on edit file. Now here in case of resource group, what we have taken instead of name, we have taken Abhi here. Right? What else? Instead of West Europe, I am taking East US. What else? Subscription ID. I'll be needing a subscription ID. So this is the subscription ID. So I'll be needing a subscription ID over here. What else? A web app name. Now this is the web app name. Let me take this one. But is this web app name available? You need to check first because web app names are unique. So what you need to do? You need to go to home, click on app service, click on create. Now this is a web application. So we'll select a web app. Inside the web app, choose the subscription. Okay, I created this one. Choose the resource group and then give your name. Is this name available? Is this name available?
No.
Okay, we'll try with some other name. eShop. Is this name available? No. Again, try. Is this name available?
Yes.
Yes. Copy this name. So first check the name. Otherwise, your pipeline will fail. Okay. Whether the name is available or not. So now
Mhm.
what I'll do, I'll replace this. Now I'll replace this. So let's see whatever they have done. So CI/CD, the workflow, uncomment the on section, delete. The workflow triggers with every push to main branch. Now what else? Push. I need to enable this workflow, GitHub action workflow. This is commented. That's why we are getting these errors. So remove this comment. Now see all the errors are gone. So now triggers push workflow dispatch. Okay, so GitHub action workflow. In the environment section, you can replace all these things. Okay, whatever I have replaced as of now. Read the workflow carefully, comments and provided in the help. We have already read it, the workflow. Click on start commit, commit changes. Now, after editing all these things, click on commit. On the right hand side, commit changes. So update eShop on web, commit directly to the main branch. Now, either you can directly commit to the main branch, or if you want, you can create a new branch also, a feature branch. And then you can merge with a pull request. Again, you can create a pull request here also in the GitHub. Whatever you can do with the Azure repos, you can do with the GitHub as well. Okay. So now I'm committing directly to the main branch. So I have committed to the main branch here. Okay. Review the GitHub workflow execution. In this task, in the browser window, go back to eShop on web. On the repository page, go to actions. You will see the workflow. Now in the repository page, at the top, you can see actions. Click on actions. Here you can see something is in progress. Build and test. You click on build and test. See, my code is building now. Pipeline is running. So in the GitHub also, you can do this, whatever you have done with the Azure repos. It depends. Means whatever your organization is using. Is your organization using Azure repos or Azure DevOps portal, or is your organization using GitHub Enterprise version? So if they are using GitHub Enterprise, you have to go with this GitHub Actions and all.
Either you can use a GitHub or a repo.
It's not about easy and all, but it's about whatever your organization is using. You have to do that. If they are asking you to work with GitHub Actions, then you have to work with GitHub Actions only or GitHub only. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Earlier, there was no GitHub Actions. It's like 2 3 years. Yeah, 2 3 years back only they have implemented this. Yeah. So now you can do each and everything with the GitHub only. If you don't want to go with Azure repos.
So open source, right? This tool?
What we are running is a free account of GitHub. That is an open source. But in your organization, they might be using an enterprise version of it. Okay. So there might be some more functionality which will be there in your organization. Okay.
Is it the safety? I mean, the security wise is fine, right? GitHub?
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. GitHub is also provided by Microsoft only.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So in DevOps and all, Microsoft is the leader.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, they provide GitHub also. They provide this also. I think they have purchased Atlassian also. Jira.
Oh, Atlassian. Oh, okay. It's Jira one, right? That
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
That's the Jira.
So 90% of the things they are providing.
So Confluence and Atlassian is same company or different one?
Pardon?
Confluence and Atlassian is same company or different one?
Confluence? No, I think.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. But Atlassian was earlier, it was a different company providing a board and ticketing services this
Oh,
using Jira tool. But I
okay.
think Microsoft purchased that
Okay, got it.
Atlassian. Yeah. So in the DevOps and all field, they are the you can say so they are providing you Azure repos also. You can go with that. They are providing you GitHub also. Earlier, GitHub was owned by GitHub. Okay. GitHub was a company, different company only. Now you can see that after build and build is successful, now you can go to deploy. Now it is setting up a job over here to deploy.
Yeah, deployment is happen through Docker or something like
Hmm.
GitHub only.
No. See, from here only it is reading out that bicep file. It will read out that bicep file. So,
Oh.
as of now, it is downloading the web, this project,
Mhm.
the particular artifact,
Okay.
.NET app artifact. Then it will download the bicep file artifact. And then it will log into Azure using Azure credentials, what we have saved in the actions. See, Azure login, running Azure CLI. So Azure login, now it is logging into Azure. And then after logging in, it will deploy. What it will deploy? It will deploy the bicep files. So this bicep file will create your Azure web app. So see, it is login, has login. Okay. So attempting Azure CLI login. Okay. Now deploy started, deployment. Validating the template, bicep template. Okay. Creating deployment. Now, if you will go back to this resource group which you created, creating deployment, okay, it will create an app service plan over there. Now you can see that if you come here, if you refresh, see it has created an app service plan over here. Now it will create a web app over here. Okay. See, a web app has been created. You can go to the web app. What it is doing, it is deploying the zip package. Now package deployment using zip deploy initiated.
Oh, it's deploy web apps in the Azure, right? So
Yes.
through the bicep code.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is what whole CI/CD is. Okay. As soon as you edited the file, saved the file, it is triggered automatically. Now there we have seen that there was a manual intervention, like someone must approve your deployment, right? Here also you can do that. So now the job is completed. Now if you
Same
go,
like Azure DevOps, right?
yeah, same like this GitHub also, using GitHub also you can do all those things.
Okay.
Now these jobs are completed. Your website will be published here in the web app. It might take some time to update. So 30, 40 seconds or 1 minute. See, your website has been published. Now what you can do, you can go back to your, so this is the GitHub workflow action. Now after this action, what you can do? You can provide a manual approval also. In this task, you will use GitHub environment to ask the manual approval. You can go to the code and open the following file, workflows. Okay. In the deploy section, you can find a reference environment. Now, if you go to the deploy section here, where is the actions? Okay. Can you see these deployments on the left hand side in
Yeah.
the options?
Mhm.
Click on deployments. Okay. Now you can see the environments over here, development environment. Okay. As you can see, all the environments. So here, as of now, there is only one environment, which is a development environment. Okay. Now what you can do? You can click on that particular environment, or don't go from here. I think deploy job section, you can find the environment called development, GitHub environments and protection rules. On the repository page, go to settings and environments. Okay. On the settings page, there will be environments. In the environment, as of now, you can see development. There cannot, other environment cannot be added as of now. If you already, there is an environment. What you can do, you can go click on that particular environment, go to that particular environment. Just you need to click on required reviewers. Since there is only one person, I am only there with this GitHub. I'll add my name as the required reviewer. Okay. Prevent self-review. So if you want your people should not review it by themselves, click on prevent self-review for your team and all. If you want, they should not do that. Okay. We are doing it because we are practicing. So we need to do it by ourselves. So in the configure development tab, click required reviewers and your GitHub account as a reviewer. Click save protection. Click on save protection rules. Now let's test the protection rule. So here, click on save protection rules. Now the rules are set. Now what you can do, you can go to actions again. And what you can do, you can click on this, or you can click on this. What you can do, create a new job or rerun. Okay. Or go through these options here. Now let's test the protection rule. On the repository page, go to actions, click on eShop on web, build and test workflow, and click on run workflow. So this is the eShop on web, build and test. Inside the actions, you can see that run the workflow. Now, if you click on here, run workflow. Now, if you have different branches, you can choose the branches from where you have to run. Okay, I'll directly run the workflow from here. Now, if you go to build and test, again the workflow is running. Now, once the build is completed, I'll get an email to approve the deployment. So that will be called as a manual approval. So before deploying it, we'll get a manual approval. So in the Azure repos also, before running and deploying it, we were taking some actions over there. In the similar manner, we are taking an action over here, right? Adding the reviewer and all.
Okay.
So this is completed. Now you can see the timer here in the deploy section. Means it is waiting for approval. Deployment needs approval to start deploying the changes. Review the deployment. Now, if you go here, click on your email. Okay.
GitHub.
See, review pending deployment. You'll get an email. The reviewer will get an email. If you click on here, it will take to you that particular page. As you click on review deployments, now there will be the list of where you want to review. So as of now, it is for development, approve and deploy. Now it has been queued up. So everything, whatever you are doing over there in the Azure repos, what we learned, we can do with GitHub also.
So the reviewer we have already added here, right? That's why it is asking that deployment review.
Yes, we have set that reviewer in the actions.
Okay.
In your case, maybe your senior project manager or who will be reviewing while production deployment and everything. Okay.
Yeah.
Like we haven't set all these things. So we are not working with GitHub Actions. We are working with Azure repos only, but we have not set for development and QA. We have set for UAT and production. Okay, a reviewer. Not one reviewer, two reviewers we have set. So in case one reviewer is not present, another one is there. Both are like project manager level.
Mhm. So there's two reviewer. One of them is not available. The other one he can approve it, right?
Pardon?
So there's two reviewer
Mhm.
available. One of them is not available. The other
You
one he can
you can
approve it,
add
right?
number of reviewers. No, it's not necessary that
Mhm.
everyone will be on leave or something. Someone will be there.
Yes.
And that thing you don't have to worry about. It's their duty to approve it.
Uh-huh.
package deployment initiated. Now after some time this will not work. So first it will delete. It's completed the job. Okay. So here in the publish to web app, so first thing it has deleted that package and then it has again deployed. So while deleting the package, if you refresh this site, it will show you an error page. Okay. But I think it deployed in 5 seconds, 4-5 seconds. So this is how there's a manual intervention. Now, after this lab, you can remove your lab resources. You can gather all your resources, you can gather all your resource group using some command here. Okay. So this is the resource group. Now what you can do, you can use this command to delete that. It will clean up your resource group. So your resource group will get deleted. What else? You can delete that particular action. Now, if you go to the Microsoft Entra ID, go to the app registrations, there you will find that GitHub action, app registration, which is created. GitHub action, eShop on web. Okay. You can delete that as well. Delete the connection. Delete the connection. Okay. Now we have ran that command to delete the resource group. It is deleting the resource group now. So in this way, you can clean up your resources. And here in the GitHub, go to your repository. What you can do, you can go to the settings of your repository. And if you want, you can delete your repository. Got it?
Mhm.
So in this way, you have seen how we can run through GitHub Actions. In next lab on Monday, we'll see deploying Docker containers. Okay. How to deploy a Docker container and Azure App Service, web apps in the containers. Okay. So we'll see the Docker container and all in the next lab.
Sure.